Great. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Embodied Earth Institute School of Integrative Dowsing. This evening, we're coming together for an hour, really to have an exploratory experience, but let it be light and fun and um, uh, keep your curiosity. So tonight we are talking about what you're looking for when choosing a house and what's important. So I'm excited to be here. I feel it's a privilege. And I'm Shelley Darling, for those of you who don't know or who are seeing this recording. I live here on the unceded territory of the Pequawket, Abenaki, and Wabanaki people on the Casco Bay watershed, and just feel very excited. So welcome. And there will be people coming in. And as you come in, if you could just keep yourself on mute, and then I'm going to open it up. But let me just start. Tonight, I did put together, if you were with me on the ASD call the other night, Conscious Currency, it was a little challenging with the lighting. So tonight, I got good lighting and also have created a little PowerPoint. So let's pull up the PowerPoint and let's just, oops, hold on one second. Let's share the screen. Okay, and let me figure out how to do this. We want to slideshow. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, can everybody see this? I can see you, so just you cannot. Okay, great. And we're going to open this up. I will stop the slideshow and open it up for you to ask questions. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand just in case I'm not catching you. But so tonight, choosing a home that works for you and what matters most and why. So if some of you are with me, the other night, we did talk a little bit about Feng Shui and beginning to look at pathways and what you're looking for. So, oops, it doesn't want to. Let's see why it is. Oh, there we go. Let's try that. Okay. So, here's a really beautiful house that maybe some of us would like to live in, and it has, you see, it has a nice fountain in front, and um, it's a really good feng shui house in the way that we're looking at it right now. You can see that we can see the front door. It feels open. So what's important when choosing a home, and we're going to talk about basic. When choosing a home, the aim is to attract a space. And I use the word attract because that's a really big part of it. Being really clear about what you're wanting. And you know that, intention is, some people say intention is everything. And we want a space that feels balanced and comfortable and supportive. That's pretty obvious. And just for some of you who weren't with me the other night, so I'm going to really, the way that I like to work is talking about whole systems. And part of those whole systems is dowsing and feng shui. And I think what maybe I bring to the table is how they together create what I like to call a portal to heaven. So feng shui is helping us to dowsing is working with the earth energies, sensing subtle energetic patterns within the land or home environment. And feng shui looks at how energy or qi is moving through the home and how that affects us. And probably most of you do know about that, but just in case. So here's something that I wanted to introduce maybe some of you to. Let's see how I can, there we go. So now we're sort of focused a little, we're opening to a home. And so we know that our brain waves can be measured, right? And this is probably, I'm just trying to introduce this in a way that maybe some people don't understand. So we know that our brain waves can be measured. And if you're a dowser, if you know dowsing, then you also know that we can measure the energy in homes, right? But what I like to show here is when I'm speaking about a home, we're talking about a beta home and primarily an alpha or delta home. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the most important thing to understand is what's happening when we're measuring, at least for me, is that if you notice, if you look at that beta beta frequency, you're going to notice that it's a very close frequency. And what I'm looking at is that there's not a lot of light coming into this. If we're looking at a home, and the next slide will explain a little bit more, there's not a lot of light coming in here. If you look at the delta or theta waves, what happens? The waves open up, they're more relaxed. And in terms of measuring energy, that alpha or delta energy, there's more light coming into the home. So let's just take a look at, this explains it a teeny bit more, which is that a beta house is negatively affecting the people inside. So when you're thinking of a beta house, you're thinking of a home in terms of dowsing, you're thinking of there might be negative vortexes. There might be a lot of geopathic stress. How water's running under your house. What's the different soils that are affecting? Are you living near mining or fracking? These are things that we know affect. But what I like to share about is how they affect us, right? Is in a beta house, people feel disconnected and hopeless. The energy's wave is sharp, fluctuating, and letting a little bit of light. And an alpha house allows more light into the space. The environment feels, so that's where we would see the geopathic stress being remedied, the negative vortex being remedied, interference, EMFs from power lines or, satellite dishes, things like that. When we help remedy that, the environment starts to feel calmer. People can feel more hopeful, inspired, and intuitive. So I'm just going to stop the share here just for a minute. So consider a home that feels welcoming, right? So on Tuesday night, I talked about a welcoming home, a home that, we just were talking about the dowsing, but where the energy just flows to the front door feels open. You open that door, you feel a sense of joy. You maybe even a little bit of awe. That's ultimately what we're looking for when we're choosing a house, right? So let's keep going here. Let's pop right. Oops, did it? Okay. So here's a house that was actually one of my very first houses in California. And here's a house that, like, maybe anybody would like to, whoa, look at that. That house is huge and it's got a water fountain in the front and it has a big driveway and there's the front door. But I just want you to notice something. So this house from the outside looked, maybe it needs a little landscaping. You can see the landscaper there actually. But check out this tree. Do you notice this tree and how it's bent? That might not mean anything to you when you're walking up to a house. But what was fascinating about this house is when I went in to start dowsing, and if you go to my website, there's actually a video there that takes you inside of this house. And sometimes when there's geopathic stress, one of the symptoms is you'll see trees angled. And in this case, I went into this house and discovered when I did the assessment, discovered there was a negative vortex in the house. Actually, it was more than one, but there was one really big one. And this client really hadn't told me a whole lot about his background. But when I followed the rods to find out where it was in the house, what was so fascinating is, you see where this tree is? In the lower room, right where this tree was, I was literally pushed up against a wall, backed into a wall to where so a negative vortex, for hopefully everybody knows, but if you don't, it's where the energy, it's like a sucking energy. It's a vacuum that really suppresses your immune system, can be sick. And in this particular house, it was then that the client tells me that this was his son's home, and his son ended up being actually ending up being diagnosed with schizophrenia. And then he says, I didn't want to tell you about what was going on in this house because I wanted to see if you figured it out yourself. Because what I said was, what's behind this wall? Right? And what was behind this wall? It turned out this house was owned by the mafia. And that room behind the wall was where some very nasty stuff was going on. So this is sort of a big jump in, but here, when you're looking for homes, we're kind of looking at how does it feel? And we can begin to notice some of these things, trees coming across the front door. You can't find the front door. These are things that we are looking for. Here's another home. Beautiful home. There's the front walkway to the front door. But what I want to show you with this home is here was a drawing of this home, and you can see they didn't show the pathway up to this front door. But if you were to drive in this driveway and try to get into the front door, it's a very difficult energy. So what happens here is the energy's hitting the garage. If you were to walk this and track where the energy's going, the energy's hitting the garage. Then if you were to make this turn, the energy's moving outside the walkway and then eventually to the front door, even though there's this other walkway. But if you noticed, it had a lot of stones that might be difficult for someone to walk. Right. So I'm going to just give you a few more examples and then we'll talk. So this house, again, a beautiful house, top of the mountain in San Diego, or let's see, yeah, near San Diego. And if we're looking at this walkway to go in, how does that feel? Where is the energy going? It's dropping off, and you can see that the front door is here. So in terms of what we're attracting, the other thing that's going on with this house, just from a Feng Shui perspective, is you have this massive garage, which if you were standing out on the street, right, you would see that ultimately that's where the energy going. And what I want to say to this is, I'm going to open it up just to see where people are, their feelings is that we're looking for a space that actually where we feel that our body opens and that is inviting. So when you have a massive garage like that and the energy is going there, it's not fully flowing, and everything can be remedied pretty much. In almost 20 years, I've never told anyone not to move into a house or to buy a house. But the thing tonight, and I want to just change this. Let's just open the gallery a little bit. So welcome everyone. Hi, Christina. Nice to meet you. So I just want to just open it up. So if anyone has any questions at this point. So a lot of people will, in looking for a home, will either be moving for a better situation, or they're moving out because something happens. Maybe, you're renting a home and all of a sudden your landlord decides to sell it. Where are you moving to? Or maybe your husband liked this home, but you really don't like this home and you want to make a move. And lastly, one other popped in my head, which was, you're moving into a new relationship and you want to move in together. So what kind of a house are you looking for? So number one, to be really, really take the time to be really, really clear, but also notice one of the things for me is you want to make sure you're not taking what is going on inside of the house you're living in with you, or you're attracting a similar house. So tonight is about just beginning to get more aware, and we'll get more into a little bit into the Feng Shui of understanding the house in terms of Feng Shui and from a dowsing perspective. So I just want to open it up and ask, is there any questions at this point? Yeah, go ahead. Just take yourself off mute, Jane.
I am interested in the general topic and I think I can apply it somewhat myself, but actually, we're going to move from a house into an apartment.
Okay.
So anything you can say to tie it to that, because we're looking at, hallways instead of driveways at this point.
Right, perfect. So in terms of downsizing, it's still like, so when you're working with a condo or an apartment, obviously you're walking in through a main gate right, and then you're going up an elevator or wherever you're going into. Pretty much in generally, you're going into a hallway, right? So then from that place where, yes, it's great. In Sarasota, Florida, there was a building that was built for apartments and condos that was feng shui, so you have to look at it still from your front door, and to do your best to make it wherever I don't, certain condos or apartments have certain regulations, but can you put something red on your door, hang something from your door, or put a welcome mat that you can see as you're coming down the hallway? Just start it out, in a way that draws you to your door, because right, all the other doors are the same, but whatever you can do to create that. And then we can do additional enhancers with, some of the copper dowsing tensor rings that are, I like to consider them as a portable positive vortex. And can you put that on your door, or put a wreath, on in front of it? Yeah.
Are you talking about Slim Sperling's rings?
Yeah. Um, yes, I am. I actually use somebody else. I don't,
Kind of. That
but basically, yes. So for those of who you don't know about Slim Sperling is known, as I always call him, a metaphysical cowboy who understood sacred geometry and devised these twisted copper rings that create a positive flow of light going either way. So I use them a lot. I originally definitely bought most of my rings from them, and there are still some rings that are really you can't get anywhere else. Yes, there you go. So Jane is here. Let me see if I can highlight you for a second.
this
But
obviously is a tiny one, not he has all
right,
bigger
big
ones.
ones. Yeah,
I have this around my water glass.
right. Perfect. Yes. So I can take you to the website that I've been using. So so there's Slim Sperling rings. There's another guy that makes them called Brian Besco, Twisted Sage. And then the person that I'm mainly engaged with right now is called Mars Energy Tools, MARZ. And anyone, I'll try to put some links at the end of this. All right. Anybody else have a question at this point? And you're also welcome to, go on my website and click on the Calendly link and have a consult if there's something that you personally is moving for you. So let's shift this again and let's keep going then. But feel free to raise your hand. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen again. All right. So let's move from this house. And now let's talk a little bit about the Feng Shui. So keep moving, you guys. So this is a Feng Shui map, a mapping of the different guas. This is something that I put together. And the ones that are starred are really because this is how people know about these guas, GUA. And, they know about they call, oh yeah, that corner is abundance and this one is relationship and this one might be fame. But what I like to inform people and what I've learned is that ultimately, when you're talking about the relationship corner, you're talking about how you're being nourished. How are you open to receiving the nourishment? Whereas the abundance, yes, it's about money, but it's about wealth in all, considered it's wealth in all areas. It's about abundance in all areas. But ultimately, the abundance is already there, always there. And how much are we receiving it? So why we want to work on these particular guas, whatever they are, is because we want to enhance our conscious relationship with them. Okay. Right now, what I want to speak to you about is, do you see how these 9 guas, basically in Feng Shui, having a home that is square or rectangle is what we're looking for. Now, you live in California, you live anywhere. It's very rare. You're going to see new houses have all these angles and all these different, external features. So it gets trickier when you're applying the Bagua. What's important, and I'm going to show you now, we can come back to this. I'm not going to go into the specifics of the guas. I just want you to understand how to lay them out. Or if you're looking at a new place, some of the major things to look for, that's all. So here is a home, Sarasota, Florida. And you can see that this home does not fit the regular Bagua, right? You've got the driveway, you've got the garage sticking out and can't really see the front door, but the front door is inside that screening. And this is more of an L-shaped. So when I'm looking at the house, again, number one, the most important thing I'm looking at, can I see the front door? Right? Number two, what's that pathway that's walking into that front door? How does that feel? Right? So in this one, someone has to come up the driveway. They take a little walk. Oops, sorry. Let's go back. Oh, go back. Walk right here, and then you've got to turn to get into the front door. And the front door is not visually front facing. The best circumstance is to have it front facing and you can see the pathway to the front door and it's meandering, right? Can this be remedied? Yes. We just have to work with how to create the design to soften this curve, to make it so that it directs you into the front door. Could I put an arrow under it has a beautiful, there's the number. We can see, you want to be able to see the number of your house. Could I put an arrow right here, a red arrow pointing to the front door? Absolutely, if you don't care. Could I have a sculpture, maybe a wall sculpture that directs you to the front door, that makes it easier for your body to make it to the front door? Yes, so there are different Feng Shui remedies that we can do to create this. Right now, we're not looking at the dowsing. What we're looking for in Feng Shui is there a missing, one of the most major things is there a missing corner? So let's go back one. So let's just say, so you see that house that I just showed you. So essentially we have probably the garage in Ken, which is the knowledge. So maybe it has an extension in Ken. But it looks like to me, if you're just looking at it in general, it's missing the Kan and Cheyenne guas. So it's missing the what you might call the vocation or what that flow is. Some people call it your career, gua. If you're someone that has a business and that business is you want functioning 100%, you may still choose this house, but we might have to do something here to create a cure that really brings this energy back in. How to do that? We could put a light over in this corner. We would lay out the corner and see, maybe we can put some lighting. Maybe we can, this different things that we can do. But I'm just trying to make you aware of, oh, look, there's a missing corner. What if the house is rectangle, but it has a part of the house coming out in Shun, but it's missing in the backyard Li and Kun. What if you're a person who happens to be dating and you're looking for a relationship? This could be a problem. How do we cure it? So again, tonight I'm not getting in too much. I just want you to be aware. So when you're looking for a place, these are important features as you're walking around the house, or let's just say, go back to the condo, right? Maybe the condo is, you and your husband are moving into a new place, but maybe it's got everything else, but it's missing this kungwa. What can we do about that? Again, everything can be remedied, but this is important, okay? The other thing is, the dowsing really needs to be done, probably after you move in. But, if I was looking at the dowsing and there was a lot of geopathic stress, I'd be looking at where's the geopathic stress coming in. Let's just say you have two geopathic stress lines that are coming in the Shungwa. How is that going to affect your flow of income? So these are things that we're looking at. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Bring that back up. Okay. So let's just move forward. Things to think about, right? So in this house, I actually have doused this house, and it turns out with this house, the garage is what's called an extension. I'm not going to go too deep into this. And I was inspired on Tuesday night to consider doing a 4-week Feng Shui course for people. So we could go in a little bit deeper for this. But this is called an extension. And this is an extension in the knowledge corner. Okay, so that's fine, but we need to, so in this case, there isn't a real problem because the rest of the house is rectangle. It has all the guas in it. This is just an extension. So though this house looked like, ooh, what's going on here? Because and an extension just simply, it's much more complicated than this, but basically in this house, the garage is shorter, has less of a length than the entire house, the length of the house and how far it goes in the back. So that's not too bad. Let's look at this house. So here I am. This is actually the house that I'm in right now. And this house has a great story. So for some reason tonight, I thought I would just tell the story because this is the front of the house. We'll move around with this a little bit. This is the side of the house. Okay, you see, let's go back. Here's the front door. there's a big field in front of this front door. There, as you can see, is there a walkway going to the front door? No. In Maine, and maybe lots of places, there's no pathway to the front door. What has happened with this house is, oops, we'll let Katie in. So what's happened with this house is you have it's obvious the front door is here. I just showed you a side door that was pretty prominent. It has this door over here with no pathway either. And I couldn't find it to get on tonight, but this far right-hand side where that door is the guest suite. And there's another door on the very far right. And the driveway, if you're trying to get to this house, the driveway goes back behind the house. So what happens is, inevitably, when I came to work on this house, was like nobody can figure out where the front door is. They're walking around the house, every worker going, hello, 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 trying to figure out where the front door is. So this was kind of a dilemma in the dowsing of this house. And one of the things I had to do was show the owner, go out to the street, walk way down the street, and stand in front of this front door, because the whole house is calling for attention, right? It's a massive, beautiful house, but it's just sitting on top of this knoll. So let's see if I can. So here we go. Here's the side. Beautiful. This window is facing the ocean and a horse farm, right? So as of last week, and after dowsing the house and doing the complete Feng Shui and dowsing assessment, these owners agreed to put in a new driveway to the front door and create a pathway to the front door to create the house to really be able to feel its magnificence. And here's the driveway as of 4 days ago that was going in to the driveway. And you can see the driveway with the pathway now going up to the front. And you can see the field. So before there was nothing but this field. So a meandering driveway. And now you can see how it's coming up to the front door, right? So I want to just stop right now and open it up a little bit, get the gallery. Okay, hi, Katie. Yeah, so Lindsay or Katie, feel free to, oh, I see there's things in the chat. Hold on. Okay, I love those porches. Right. So do I. Beautiful. So I just want to open it up to see where people are at and what might be bubbling in you in terms of, I mean, this is a small group tonight, so we get to open it up and you can ask personal questions and share what's bubbling for you. Anybody have any thoughts or questions? Yeah, feel free, just unmute yourself.
I wanted to ask about the curving driveway because I know very little about, excuse me, about feng shui, but I did read long ago that curving paths keep evil or overwhelming energy from swooping into the house or something like that. So we have a curving path to our house. When we're selling it, I think that may be a problem because you can't see it up it. It's very long. We're way out in the woods. So it's a long curving path.
Right.
So do I put things along the path or just at the end of the path?
So there's the driveway and then there's a path, right? So
Okay.
let me know a little bit.
I have a curving driveway and then you basically that lands you at the garage door and there's I guess I would call it a porch. It's really a concrete slab. This is a bermed house. It's not a standard house. So it's covered, it's concrete.
Right.
But yeah, it's the driveway from the country road. The driveway is what's curved.
Yeah. This is what I had to say. Every situation is different, and you really have to see it. I have to look on it at Google Earth, and I need to see always when I'm opening a house. Um, okay, hold on, Christina. So, when I'm opening a house, I take people out to the front, to the street, or if it's a really long driveway, we'll come in and we'll be closer to the house just to do a land acknowledgement and then open the house. Once the house is open, which is a particular invocation that I do, then we'll walk back to the end of the driveway to take a look at what's happening there. Is it, because a long driveway isn't bad. And a lot of driveways aren't meandering. In fact, I think I have one slide that I'll show you. So, what's important is when you get close to the house, at what point do you see the front door? And what's happening from that point, right? So obviously I need to see. So I invite you to send me an email and send me a picture and we can do a consult and I can explain more for you.
Well, I'll just say unrelated to this intention, but we have a Tory gate in front of the front door. So it's very easy to see where the front door is. It's not meant to be an entry to the house. It's a Tory gate to the yard for us. It's like going out into the sacred space of the woods and all that.
Okay.
So it's got this big orange gate.
Okay, great. Well, send me something and I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, which I didn't share, which was about a recess door. We didn't talk about what happens when you have a recess door, and that has its own issues. So again, these are things just to.
Thank you for the clarification about driveway versus path, because I was mixing those in my head. That helps.
Thank you. All right. You're welcome. Christina, you're on mute.
I was just wondering, I'm in a condominium, I have a straight shot from the road to my door. I just recently put some of those they're little lights that are on long stems. It's like little flowers, along the side of my sidewalk. Because when you stand at the street, you can't quite see my door. You can see part of it, but not all of it. And then as you walk up, not very far up my driveway, maybe 10 steps, or up my sidewalk, you can see the whole door. But when you come in the door, you walk right into a coat closet.
Right. Okay. So a couple of things. It's really important to be able to see the front door. And so that's something that if we were working together, we would want to look at. And so, by the way, I love teaching this stuff. So feel free to come join a course or something. But so you really want to be able to see the front door from, if you have a long driveway, that's a little bit different. But in general, you want to see the front door. It's how the chi comes in. You're wanting money, you're wanting more flow, you're wanting better relationships. If you consider the front door your heart, right? You want someone to hand you a check directly. You don't want them to get lost. You don't want them to go down the street. So there's things that we're looking for. Numbers, can you see your number to your house? That's right. And so we'd have to take a look at it to see what, as an example, with that house that I showed you originally, we actually took that tree down. Once I cleared the negative vortex, that tree needed to come down. Because actually what you're not seeing is there was also a branch that was cut coming right in front of the front door. So that had already, I think that's what that guy was doing there. He had already taken down that. So, and of course, communicating with the land, communicating with the tree, explaining why it's coming down. These things are important as well. Yeah. So, yeah, send me a picture and we'll look at it. But the main thing to know is when you're looking at a house, or when you're going into your house, you want to feel, so let's talk about that. So the last thing that I look at when I'm walking into a house is I open the front door, have my clients stand with their back against the front door. And where is that energy going? Because ultimately you want to feel, you want to feel the home is feel your joy, feel the openness. So if there is a door there, we need to take a look at that. What can you do? So obviously that door would be shut. You want something that moves you into the house. You want something that, so there's got to be something on that door, or question whether we would paint that door, or is there a wall hanging on that door that somehow helps it. Maybe, like you could put an arrow on that door to get it's like tells the energy to move. Or let's just say you love boats, right? Let's say you love boats. You could have something on that door that was a wall hanging with a boat, but you want the boat moving into the rest of the house, right? So the idea is to have movement, right? So
Does it have to be a visual on the door that they can see, or could I put it on the back of the door, the arrow?
no, it can't be on the back of the door. But
Okay.
here's another, let's just say there's the door and then there's a wall there. You could, because we can have the chi move from creating another effect on that other door, or let's say on the wall, which would be stronger, has a strong effect, strong feng shui effect, which, maybe that's where the boat goes if you love boat. I'm just using, maybe you love trees. So maybe you'd have a tree, but one of those branches needs to be moving the energy into the other room, right? Or maybe you like clouds, they're moving into that other room so your eye no longer gets stuck at the door. It gets attracted to what you're putting up. So I also want to say one thing. This is really important with the feng shui. I am not a feng shui master. I've been consulting for years. And so, I just need to say that. So there might be things I don't know, and then I'm happy to go look up or happy to talk with a feng shui master with. I used to work with a feng shui master, and I've done years and years of working and learning from her. But now I don't know, Spirit's just asking me to come out and start sharing, helping people get going. So yeah.
How can we send you a red envelope?
That's interesting that you know about the red envelope. So, in the feng shui tradition, with my clients, I usually send a document that explains. So, in the feng shui tradition, and especially, there are 9 red envelopes in the black sect that you would send myself or whoever's working with you specifically. Here, I'm okay with sharing what I'm sharing. I'm doing this, but if I was working with you specifically, I would ask for 9 red envelopes, depending on what the exchange was. I mean, it could be anything from $1 to asking you to put something in them, or maybe I have the red envelopes. So you could just send $11 for the $9 plus $2 for the cost of getting them. But the red envelopes are an understanding. They keep my energy separate from yours. It's honoring the feng shui, tradition. In this case, Professor Lin Young really is part of that tradition, feng shui tradition. There is also compass feng shui, which I don't have a background in. So if you want to do compass, I find this works with my clients and really just getting the basic feng shui. If we want to go deeper, we can do that. And that's another exploration odyssey. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Good. All right. Oh, and how can you? My email is shelley@evolutionarydowsing.com. That's easy. Go to the website. You can, and I would invite everybody here to sign in on the website, and you'll get my email, and you'll also get the 555 Catalyst, which really shares new information, videos, narratives, featured art, all that kind of fun stuff. It's a great and you'll also be updated at what the classes that I'm doing. All right. Anybody else want to pop in here? All right.
I
Yeah.
have a very general question. Do you ever use the elements? Like in that house that had garage in the front, if it had been a problem, would you put maybe a water feature
Yeah.
next to the garage?
Um, every situation's really different. And in that case, I wouldn't want to accentuate the garage. You know, where would you really want the water? You know, as an example, if we go back to, let's go back here. Okay, let's just go back to, excuse me. Let's go back here. So, oops, sorry. So every gua has, has an element, right? So here in Shun is wood, right? Here where the garage was earth. Yes, so here's Kan, and this is about flow, water. So if we want to, we might decide to have a water fountain in Kan, right? If your door was right in Kan, yeah, maybe in the case of being, asked about that door, maybe we would, um, want to add a water element. So I might say to Christina, we, you know, we definitely want to have something hanging that has water, or maybe there's a small table with a water fountain so it draws the chi in. So, these are different, every situation is different, right? But we wouldn't want to have water where if you have water in Lee, we need to do something because we see the element there is fire. So these are just kind of giving you ideas of, right? All right, let me just make sure so here we have this pathway. Okay. So key things to look for. Again, a welcoming front entrance. Again, the door is considered the mouth of chi, where energy enters the home, having it be clean and bright and inviting, of course, is attracting positive energy. As far as if you're walking in to look at a new place or your homes that feel open and easy to navigate, supporting a better flow and comfort. If you've got a lot of rooms that are small rooms and it's like a maze, well, it wouldn't surprise me that there's a lot of kind of stuck energy, stagnant energies that getting stuck in corners. There's not much of a flow. We need to open that up. We need to do some feng shui cures. Again, when we're talking in dowsing about a delta house or an alpha house, naturally they're going to be a bright space with good airflow. And not only is it going to be healthier, it's going to be, people can access their higher consciousness. It's easy, right? And then when we're talking about the back of the house, openness in the front and the back in feng shui, that's where you want to feel the mountain, right? So having support behind the home, looking to see where there is water. I'm going to stop the share right now. And so, hi, Jackie.
Hi, Shelley.
So Jackie and Karen, who we haven't seen yet, Jackie's part of the Sacred Evolutionary Dowsing Consortium. She came in to be a part of a group that focuses and learns how to work with heart resonance and focus our energy, understanding the 12 round one geometry, and moving from just working alone to working with a collective, and has recently been involved with, we just did a 6-week journey focusing on 86 acres in Sarasota. And what was the other, what did we do when we
We worked on Washington, D.C.
Right.
and grounded traditions in Australia.
Right. So we did a school together so Jackie's been involved with the consortium, obviously 3 times. And when Jackie came in, I got a really strong message to work on schools. And there was someone that I was mentoring, and she brought forward a bush school in Australia that the school was actually, when I say bush school, that they took the kids outdoors a lot, but also they were working out of their house, and there was a lot of problems with ancestral energy, and the home also had entities. And what else, Jackie?
Oh, it was a lot. Oh, neighbors. Yeah, neighbors.
Construction, a screaming neighbor. And so we came in there as a consortium and did the dowsing for the house, did some Feng Shui. And by the time we were done, that school, the couple that were the founders, also their relationship became more coherent and much happier. And the kids calmed down. The kids were happier in that space. It became a much more coherent space. And the person, sometimes what happens with the dowsing is if you have challenge with neighbors, when you douse a house, either those neighbors will shift positively, or everything moves in for the highest good of that. And in this case, the neighbor moved. It was amazing. I mean, they couldn't have believed it. And it was, that person actually needed help to be placed in a home where that person could get help. And so it was a very powerful movement. And now the school, God, I have to check that they've moved. So these are some of the things that the invitation, if you are a dowser and want to get more involved and work with a group, that opportunity is available. Yeah, actually, it actually moves. People can't be in that frequency when you're raising the frequency of the house, as Jane said. Either people will move or they'll shift. And in my case, originally I was living in San Diego, and I had 2 alcoholic neighbors, always arguing, yelling, and the other neighbor wanted us to cut down a tree, and it was just not a good relationship. And when the house got doused, well, if you want to read my first book, you'll hear the full story. But the neighbors that were arguing actually stopped arguing, and they started bringing us plants. It was beautiful. They completely changed their landscaping. The other guy we heard eventually said, "Why are they always having parties over there and I don't get invited?" And he stopped harassing, and we were teaching trainings in this house. So yeah, but that was actually where I learned dowsing, in that house. And talk about dowsing, removing what is no longer in alignment. That was my second marriage. Actually, it turned out that the dowsing and Feng Shui revealed that my husband was having an affair. We were teaching relationship trainings, and he was having an affair with our upcoming business partner. And it was through the dowsing. And this is an amazing story. I'll just finish with, this is a great ending to the story. So about 6 months later, I was taking an advanced Feng Shui course. And the woman who was teaching was someone who had come into my house. And we were doing some charts in this advanced dowsing class. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at these charts, and I have this total epiphany. And I went, "Oh my God, the day that you came in and doused my bedroom, you knew that my husband was having an affair." And she said, "Yes, I did." And I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she said, and it was really amazing. She said, "First of all, you weren't my client. Second of all, do you remember I told you a story?" She said, "You weren't ready to hear it." And I remembered she told me the story about a couple, and how she saved that relationship because that one of them was having extramarital affair, but it was done in a way that the couple worked it out, and they're still together today, and they're actually a very well-known couple. And and that was such a big aha for me. And what ended up happening after that class and having my house doused was, was this split of this relationship. But it was very difficult, but this was a very big teaching of, now I can go into houses and I can see what she saw, right? It's very clear, when you go deeper into the Feng Shui and you do the dowsing, because that energy is always rising into its highest potential for everyone, truthfully. Even that relationship had to end. And even though it was difficult, it was very powerful because we both ended up being, moving into, really more of who we both were. At the time, it was very difficult. But that was my initial Feng Shui dowsing coming together, which didn't feel like a portal to heaven, but actually it was, because it got me working in the path that I needed to be working on. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So, do you want, Laura, go ahead, take yourself off mute. Yeah, I can't take you off mute. I can ask, let's see, I can ask you to unmute. Let's see, there, see, you're on the phone, so you can't find the,
Oh, yes.
oh, there
I
you
think,
go, good.
yes. Thank you so much. Oh my God, this is so beautiful, really. I would love to know how I can start studying about all this that you are talking about. Where are some classes or schools, or what's the path?
Okay, well, if you want to fly in for next weekend, I'm teaching the foundation course in Ipswich, Massachusetts. So that's one. There's a lot of people who've been asking me, and I'm teaching a sort of the certification pathway. And so I am looking at dates to teach it online.
Yes.
I don't have an answer for that. So actually so May 22nd through the 24th, I'm teaching a 3-day immersion in Ipswich, Massachusetts. And what I would just tell you is, email me or go to my website and sign in and send me a note. So Shelley@evolutionarydowsing.com. And, we can talk more. I also do mentorships. In fact, Karen, are you here listening? Can you get on for a minute? Because
I'm here.
okay.
I'm here.
Can you not put yourself on video?
No, it won't let me put the video on. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So Karen is, you want to share anything into the group before we got to close?
Thank you.
For the mentorship,
Yeah.
it has been and still going on. I think we have 2 more or 3 more classes.
Right.
And what an adventure. And my house has so many issues, but they got cures. And when the cures were put in place, money started flowing in. I had adventures with on earthbound spirits, feeling the vibration of some areas. It's what an adventure. That's all I got to say. And I'm looking forward to more. And each house I've gone into and worked on, I feel stronger and stronger in my dowsing abilities. And also, um, because of Shelley's influence, the Feng Shui is coming in there too. So I'm looking forward to learning more about the Feng Shui. So, yeah.
So yeah, so I do 12-week mentorships. So that's the other way. And the private mentorships are, some people prefer that rather than being in a class. Class affords a certain gift because you're around, other people. So yeah, talk to me, give me a call, and whoops, here comes this person, but we're gonna end. So I'm gonna let's see. Is there any other? Hi, Michael. I'm just ending this call. Nice to see you. I can stay on. I'm happy to stay on for another 15 minutes or so if people have more questions. If you need to go, go. And what I would just say to you is thank you for coming. And I'm available. So you just can go to the embodiedearthinstitute.com or just you do my name, Shelley at shelleydarling.com. Either one will get you to the website. I invite you to come on and to go look through the website and see some of these things that are available. And if you're interested in, questioning or on the fence of wanting to learn more, just set up a consult and we can talk about it. And that's really the best way to do it. So, yeah, does anyone else have any other questions before we close? And I'll just check in with Michael. Sorry, it was from 7 to 8 tonight. It was, but it's recorded. It's still recording. So, do I have your email? Just make sure I have your emails, everybody, so that I can, or put them in the chat right now. And then I will get a hold of you for sure. Any other questions? Laura, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm so happy that Michael came along because I heard him on Tuesday and I was so curious, like what he has to say, because I feel that he has lots of things that he knows.
Is that right?
Michael, wait, are you the one who does biogeometry?
I'm a building biologist, professional engineer, biogeometry, and I have my own eclectic practice for balancing the earth.
Oh, great. Well, we need to talk.
I was thinking that.
Really, I was just talking about the Dowsing Consortium and Jackie's involved. And so really my love is working with groups and inviting people in the consortium. Like together we're greater than the sum of our parts. When we have different people with different skills coming in, it's really powerful to share, to feel the safety and transparency and everyone sharing their gifts and focusing it on a particular whatever it is, home, community center, school, land, whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
So please make sure I have your email and we'll get together more. So is there Okay, great, thanks. So anything else that's popping?
Oh, you remember on Tuesday I asked about the mirrors, mirrors, how the mirrors can impact a room or a hallway, or should they be covered up, or should we allow them to be the way they are?
Again, it's really specific to your home. You will hear a lot of Feng Shui people talk about not putting mirrors in your bedroom. That can cause certain, depending on where they are. If you have, it's really specific because depending on where your bedrooms are, if you have a second floor. Oops.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute.
Okay, so I think have a consult. We can talk more about it, or send me some pictures. It really depends. I'm thinking about this house, like going upstairs, there's a mirror there for a very specific reason. Now, the person who put it there didn't realize it, but when I got here, I was like, oh, because of the way it's set up, the feng shui of the house, the feng shui of the rooms. I came from a house that had a second floor, and what we're looking at also is how does the bagua fit in the home? And that's where you would specifically use mirrors if you're missing corners, or your house, there are rooms outside of the bagua. So you would lay the bagua out at the front door. You would lay the bagua as you go up to the second floor. You can lay the bagua on your property. So these are all things that takes it to a whole other level. So I'm sorry I'm not being very specific, but it's you really got to look at that. but
Thank you.
talk to me. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you everyone for showing up. Let me just make sure there's nothing left on that. I didn't miss anything. I just, let's just make sure that I think that, okay, right. An upcoming, the foundations course, there'll be an online one, stay in touch with me, and then go on to the Embodied Earth Institute and sign in for the 555 Catalyst. Because essentially, we're all catalysts for love. You know, we're doing this for the love. At least I am. And so how to be the most clear channel, how to find what is your channel specifically. That's also the beauty of the dowsing, is that you can, you know, really create a flow of energy that really supports who you are, and get clear about your service if you're not clear, and if you are clear, how to enhance that. So yeah, so thank you for showing up. I look forward to seeing you again. Let me know how I can help you, and blessings all. Have a good evening. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.